John, here we are, back with John Cullen Investigates. Good to see you again. How you doing tonight?
Doing great. Special edition. Thank you for the invitation. It's great to see you earlier in the week on Hypothetically Speaking, and man, oh man. I'm kind of speechless as far as what I'm going to share with you guys tonight. It's kind of wild. So I can't thank you enough for hosting this episode of John Cullen Investigates. It's a real special episode. I think we're going to go, 45 minutes or something like that on YouTube before we go Patreon only? You want to explain that to everybody?
Back to our old night, our old format, a new time, a little bit longer, but people are going to be able to join us right after this introduction broadcast for the deep dive on a sponsor exclusive show. That's going to be on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I want to thank all the new viewers and remind everybody that all of this research, all of this work is funded by you, the viewer sponsors. This is how John and I earn money to buy food. So if you enjoy the work, if you enjoy the show, please become a sponsor if you aren't already. Now, John, you were telling me earlier in the week about this spy plane, this, they call it an ISR. It stands for Intelligence, Surveillance, Reconnaissance. And this is a very kind of special new plane that's got even some classified capabilities as far as I understand it. Give us the background and let everybody know what it is exactly we're going to be discussing tonight.
Well, let me kind of walk you guys through the sequence of what happened. So Jason discovers 5 UAVs at the Charlie Kirk shooting. So that's sort of, bottom line up front for the episode that we did a couple days ago. So Jason and I did an episode, I guess it was a Tuesday evening, right? Was it Tuesday
Something
evening?
Like that, yeah.
I think so. All right, so Tuesday evening, Jason and I did an episode because I saw an episode that Jason just did the previous day with the gentleman that had been on site, a guy named Mr. Bartholomew. And he's on site.
Right.
Adam Bartholomew. So he films a bunch of stuff, and Jason does a show with him. Jason shows him the content, and I'm watching the show, and I'm literally flabbergasted. And I got in touch with Jason and said, we have got to do a show together. You come on, please, hypothetically speaking, show everybody what you found. So we did the show Tuesday night, and I think on my channel, I think it might be up to like 25,000 views now, which is way beyond anything I've had in recent times. So we did that show Tuesday night, sharing your findings again, and you walked everybody I'm giving everybody sort of like a recap, right? So you walked everybody through how you found a bird, and we were almost able to figure out, is this an egret? Is this a heron? I mean, it was almost that, it's like we were like, huh.
I think it's, this one, yeah, it might be an egret, but there's a lot of eagles I've learned that live in Utah. We'll keep going, and we'll talk about the eagles.
All right. So this is either an egret or a heron. But we see a wasp, and then you see another wasp. And so basically it's establishing a baseline of organic objects, right? Living beings flying around. And what do they look like on camera? Such that when we see things that are not that, they stand out like a sore thumb. And lo and behold, Jason walks us through 5 different UAVs, one of which is emitting some sort of either it's a smoky thermal type trail because something's going wrong, or it's, accelerating like a bat out of hell and leaving the trail of smoke and heat, or something's catching on fire, like overheating, lithium phosphate batteries or something like that.
LiPo.
So, yeah. Right? So that's kind of a synopsis of what we did the other night. And the net of it is we leave the show, everybody's kind of stunned. There's 5 UAVs at the shooting, and these are not DJI Mavics. These are not, photographic drones, which if we go to, so when you get a chance, you go over to the PDF and you open up the PDF I sent you. The first picture is in there because it was taken by Turning Point USA's drone. So they did have a photographic drone there that was taking some pictures and stuff like that. But the stuff that Jason found isn't flying at 200, at 250 feet and hovering. Stuff Jason found is flying right over everybody's heads at about 150 miles an hour. And the fascinating thing that, like, I just couldn't let go, nobody notices them. Nobody's pointing up and going, hey, Martha, what was that? Nobody notices them. In any of the footage that we've seen, nobody's pointing at the drones or, there's no awareness.
Let me ask you about this because I haven't seen this before. So Turning Point USA has a drone up. We should also talk about the timing of this because this is obviously before everybody's organized here. People aren't running around like crazy. I don't think Turning Point was flying a drone after Charlie was shot, were they?
They may have had a drone kind of parked up there at 250 feet, 200 feet, something like that, that's just hovering and shooting downward. And the idea was to get a shot of the crowd. It's a wide-angle shot of the crowd from above. But like you said, this is clearly before anything started. People were just kind of filling in. People were just arriving. So, but I wanted people to understand, it's not like we're pretending that maybe TP, we're on top of this. Like TP USA has a UAV, but it's not going 150 miles an hour. All right, it's up high, it's shooting downward, and then typically it's just kind of going to hover or drift or something like that. You're not flying around 100 miles an hour. So what Jason found is not the TP USA drone. That's kind of why we're doing this. Let's go to the next slide in that deck because I want to kind of walk people through the sequence of what happened since the show. So if you show everybody I think I've got two of your five are kind of highlighted here, right? So these are two of the 5 UAVs that Jason found. This is one of them. You can, if you look towards the top edge of the screen, you see it in the actual, what would you call it? The actual, what?
Actual size. This is what I did for each of these, John, is I went through in a program called After Effects, which is like, this is what you'd use to track motion picture footage if you were doing visual effects in, any movie. So, I was able to track these things down to a sub-pixel level, and then I isolated them, magnified them sometimes as much as 2,400%. So we could just really see it, whatever level of detail was there. So that's what we did with these.
All right. So in my deck, I've got the one there that, doesn't look like a bird. Then we got this next one. It looks kind of similar to something. I mean, it's kind of reminds me of something maybe I saw maybe a year ago in Pennsylvania. So I'm not sure. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that later. All right, so it's time for the big reveal. All right, so what's been going on? Well, turns out you spent some time talking to Corey Mills. And as a result of your conversations with Corey Mills and Eli Crane seeing the work that we've been doing, these guys went to Congress and testified on the Butler shooting. And, I guess they felt they had, one shot. They talked about the puff of smoke on the rail and how it establishes effectively ballistic evidence of potentially a second shooter and that it needed to be investigated further. Well, the story continues, just not in the public eye. And it turns out that Corey Mills and Eli Crane are congressmen. And you know who used to be in Congress? Uh-huh.
So they know her.
Yeah, of
They're
course
friends
they
with
know
her,
her.
probably, yeah.
Well,
They're also all ex-military. Well, they're acquainted, right?
So you'll have to ask Corey or Eli next time you see him. You've met both of them. I don't meet people. You've met both of them, right?
Mostly texting.
All right, but you've met both of them.
You're right. I have. You're right.
You met Eli, right? You met both of them.
Yeah. Actually, the last time I saw Eli Crane was at a Charlie Kirk event. I spoke to him for quite a while at the inauguration party. There's a picture of us together at that party.
Well, I knew you met him. I didn't realize it was at a Charlie Kirk event. It's like, that's a little heavy.
Yeah, I just realized that.
All right, so let's go back to Tulsi. So Tulsi is the director of national intelligence. All right, and I don't really know what went on behind the scenes because it's not like they were checking in with me as they did what they were doing. But whatever they did, somebody started taking this seriously, meaning Butler, right? And this whole notion that there could be a second and possibly even a third shooter. And basically somebody in Tulsi's organization, one of her senior people, contacts me via email and says, would you be willing to talk on Zoom and kind of talk to us about what you found in Butler? This is the ODNI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. And I said, of course. We want to find the bad guys. And if the bad guys are in uniform, or, the bad guys are our guys, yeah, hell yeah, we got to catch these guys. So they put me in touch with Kristi Noem's Inspector General.
Nice.
Now, Kristi Noem has control over Secret Service now. Secret Service reports to Kristi. And if you want, you can pull up, if you want dynamically, if you go into Office Homeland Security, Office of the Inspector General org chart, you can pull that up and show that to everybody. So the Inspector General from Homeland Security is basically Kristi Noem's, internal affairs, right? Is her Inspector General guy. And these guys are pretty serious. So the senior guy there, like, if you go to the org chart thing, I don't know, is there an org chart?
Yeah, I know. It says meet the IG, Joseph Kafari. I've heard the name before.
He's a former Air Force, whatever the big air, what happens when you get in the Air Force? You get all the stuff. So
here he is.
Yeah, well, he emails me.
Wow.
And says, I'm going to assign an inspector to this, one of my investigators.
Wow.
And so behind the scenes, I've been working with one of the investigators from the Homeland Security Office of Inspector General, and they're looking into Secret Service.
Wow.
Okay, now obviously Sean knows all about this. Sean Curran knows all about this, right? But these guys are taking this real seriously. So for those of you who've been supporting our work, that's how we got here. It's that simple. All right, so with all that as a background, I got an email on Saturday saying, can we catch up about the Charlie Kirk thing? And that's when it hit me. This is not a transsexual fairy. This is big. This is really big. Because for them to reach out, and last night I had the phone call. And I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to tell you who I spoke to. But I will share with you guys, a little bit more detail about, which organization it was. It's kind of part of Tulsi's world. She's got 17 intelligence agencies under her. All right, so Tulsi has the CIA, the NSA. I mean, she's got, anything that's cool, it's hers.
All the three other things.
Yeah, exactly. It's like anybody who's licensed to kill works for her, okay? 17 agencies. And I think her budget, is in the 70 to $80 billion range.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
That's going to fire George's brother.
And that's just the stuff that's on the books, right? Forget all the black ops stuff that we're missing trillions. That's them too, right? So that's her. So she's got all that, but she's one of the good guys now. She's a white hat, and she's legit, and she's taken the stuff that Corey Mills and Eli Crane shared with her seriously. And I guess, I don't know exactly how it happened. I can only speculate, but next thing you know, I'm hearing from former Air Force, serious Air Force guy, Joe Kafari. I mean,
I think they
you
watch.
don't want to, yeah, you don't want your phone ringing and it's the Inspector General.
Well,
it's like that's like getting
as long
audited.
as you're on the up and up, that could be very good. But they've indicated to me over time that they are watching. And when I say they, I mean Corey, Eli. Sometimes are DMing and stuff, thumbs up and whatever. When we have good material, they're looking at it for sure.
Well, dude. I mean, you should simply like put your feet up, kick back, light up a cigar, because. I mean metaphorical. Meaning, it's like you wrote the verse in the song. It's like that's the song. It's like it's what Bob Dylan used to do. Bob Dylan used to show up at Joni Mitchell's house,
right?
And like add a lyric, and she'd be like, and then that like makes the song, right? So it's that kind of thing. So what you did added to what we learned the next day. So after the show, I'm back doing what I'm doing, and I stumble across, or somebody shares, using your crowdsource thing, somebody shares with me a link and says, check this out. And I go check this out. And this is this other story. And the other story is kind of crazier than the UAVs themselves. And so it's like, what? So this happens the next day. And this is this aircraft story, which we're going to get into in a second. But I've got a sequence I want to go through with you guys. So let's go back to the deck. Let me walk you guys through these slides that we've got in an order. And then we're going to show you, again, sort of, how this all comes together, and it's goosebump stuff. It's real goosebump stuff. All right, so the net of the conversation, and we'll get into this more in the patron-only portion. You found the drones. They didn't know they were there.
Wow. See, I knew they were drones.
Yeah, and they didn't know they were there. And
before you go too deep, John, let me just put some color on this. Because a lot of people saw Palmer Luckey interacting with me on Twitter there. And setting aside any personal disdain that I might have for him because he's been just so insulting and so reprehensible, it's like if I put out a tweet saying, damn you, Tim Cook, that iPhone 17 is just no good at all. Do you think he'd be in the comments caring at all what I have to say? And it's actually even more anomalous with Palmer Luckey because ostensibly the people who watch Crowdsource the Truth and listen to me could be customers for the iPhone and might say, well, Jason knows about technology. If he doesn't like the iPhone, I'm not going to buy it. It's not like, Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and the Defense Department is watching Crowdsource the Truth and saying, oh, well, we better not work with Anduril because Jason says there's drones. It was so telling that he was not just interacting with me. He was like an angry high school ex-girlfriend responding to every single thing that I said. It was in and of itself so conspicuous that it was just suspicious.
Let's put a pin in that and come back to that. All right. I wish we had one of those cork boards like in the Parks and Recreation with the string. And we could put that
Sunny
put
in
the string in.
right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. So the net of it is you found what they missed. All right. And we're going to show everybody who we're talking about in a second. Now, the organization we're talking about that I spoke to. This is 24 hours ago. All right, so 24 hours ago, I have this conversation. And the conversation was, all right, so, Charlie Kirk. And basically, the person I was speaking to said, I'm not buying it. And
Not
I was
buying the
kind of
drones?
shocked. Not buying the narrative. Not buying the Tyler Robinson narrative.
Oh,
this is
yeah,
like
that
official.
makes sense.
Yeah, so there's a person who works, somewhere in
Wow.
Virginia, right? And is saying to me, I'm not buying the narrative. We don't see this guy running around with a rifle anywhere. Where's the rifle? All right. So it's like, thank God there are people like us in high places that carry badges. Okay. And when they, heard / saw what you found, dude, I mean, we went into like DEFCON 5. You have no idea
So they
what's
basically
going on.
agreed that these are drones. They saw the pattern of the flight and the anomalies that we discussed.
Well,
They agreed.
put it this way. We'll just continue, okay? We'll just continue. The story, okay. So the net of it is, the email comes back after the conversation, 15 minutes, 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Do you know whose they are?
Well,
Like,
if I had to
like,
guess.
well, okay. So easy does it though. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of possibilities here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of possibilities.
That's right.
And tonight we're going to explore the possibilities, right? So there's
Yeah.
battery powered possibilities, fuel powered possibilities. We're going to look at those. So that's part of the show tonight. But they're asking you, what do you think these are? I mean, dude, they didn't see them. All right. So
Right.
we're not jumping to conclusions yet, but we're going to do some exploratory research tonight to figure out, do these things that we see in the frames that you've taken look anything like, I don't know, go to the slide after the Tulsi slide of my deck. Anything that you captured, does it look anything like stuff that we see some of these manufacturers making, right? So if we see something in your image and we're like, well, that kind of looks like, the Tony and Steve drone that they're making down in Austin. That kind of looks like,
The
what is this thing?
009.
Well, yeah, whatever this thing is, right? So if we see something, it's like, well, that looks just like the Raytheon double, whatever this thing. Well, that's a lead, right? That becomes a clue or a lead, and we'll follow that. But that's kind of, dude, they're like legitimately, we're stunned and legitimately want to know, whose are these? And like,
Wow.
if we figure it out, we're going to let you know. Let's go to the next page. In fact, next page is one that you and I were talking about earlier today, which is another like crazy tactical, it's like, whoa, what is this thing? Right? So maybe we'll go to their website when we get to the patron only portion if we have time, and we'll drill into this. But there's a bunch of these.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of companies making various types of lethal drones.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so, all right, so bottom line up front, you want to let everybody know what happened? Let's go to the next page. This is kind of like a double header. It's kind of like you're getting 2 for 1. All right, it's like a surprise. You went to the Justin Bieber concert and Taylor Swift show. All right. You ready for the next slide?
Yeah.
I did the crack thump
From Bartholomew's. Okay, and what does it tell you?
78 yards.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
So what does that mean? Second shooter?
Hang on. So let's go to the next slide.
So just so everybody understands what we're saying, Adam Bartholomew, he is the videographer, the live streamer who provided me with his video that I found all these drones in, and he was standing up here recording. I sent you the audio from his video, and you did this calculation where you're measuring the time differential between the report of the gun firing and the sound of the projectile breaking the sound barrier, right?
Exactly right. You sent me the video. I extracted the audio MP3.
Right.
I extracted the MP3. All right. So, and then what you see on the map is his location. And I was able to geolocate him because he looks off into, sort of towards the shooter, so to speak.
Yeah.
and we can kind of see where he is
Couple
relative
features,
to
right, of buildings and
to
stuff.
this concrete thing. Right. So I was able to locate him probably, within a foot.
Pretty accurately, yeah.
Within a yard. 3 feet one way or the other. He's either 3 feet this way, 3 feet, he's there. When you do the crack thump for Bartholomew, it looks like this. So this is, what does it say? Actually, this is stage right, but that's okay. Stage right, go back up to the map we were looking at a second ago. So what you see here, if you zoom into where Charlie was sitting at the middle of the dish bowl thing. Okay. So the purple dot is Bartholomew. The yellow dot with the red circle around it is the person who is filming right in front of Charlie, and that footage standing right in front of him. All right. That's anomalous right now, and that was the first one I did, which is kind of weird. So you and I are going to have
that you got from TikTok and stuff, right? That was just publicly uploaded. So we don't know what's been done to manipulate. That's what's good about the Adam Bartholomew footage, is that we know he's an honest guy. I've got the metadata from that. I know when it started recording. It's continuous unbroken recording. That's legit. Right.
Exactly. Now, the question to the audience is, if you guys look at this map, and you know what footage I'm talking about. We're talking about somebody who was standing. There were two people in front of them.
It's the grisly footage of Charlie really bleeding.
Basically straight on. It's the
and that was one of the first ones to come out, John. That was out almost right away. A little weird.
Correct. And that crack thump takes us out to 137, 143 yards. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If there's anybody in the audience that has another version of that footage, it's a little closer to the original.
We need the original.
Share that.
Somebody's got to know who shot it.
But you know what? Even if we got 3 people sending us 3 different versions, and one of the audio is different, right. So please send them to truth@crowdsourcethetruth.org. If you guys have the original video files, get in touch with Jason. Jason will walk you through how to get him these files. And if you've recorded it, we need to kind of sync up your video and your audio. And that's kind of why we need the original stuff. We don't want to get into too much detail. But God.
Some people have told me that they do have friends and friends who have kids who went there. And obviously this was a traumatic event, and there are people who have feelings like, I don't want to publicize this video out of sensitivity to Charlie's family. And I mean, we share that sensitivity. The reason we're doing this is because we want to know who did this. So I hope that anybody who does know someone who's potentially made an original recording can think about this on those terms. We're not trying to exploit this footage. We need to get the original recordings from the person's phone who recorded it so we can check the metadata of that recording and make sure that it hasn't been, edited or manipulated by and I'm not accusing anyone of doing anything malicious. I'm saying even when you just upload it to TikTok, we don't necessarily fully understand the process of how it's getting transcoded, what TikTok might do that changes the nature of the file. We want the original data to analyze. See, that's incredible. That's the first time you told me about this difference with Adam Bartholomew's footage, and I had always thought that it was a possibility.
No, I just discovered. I mean, everything you guys are hearing, I mean, this is all in the last 24 hours. I mean, these are the latest discoveries. So we've got 3 different Audacity charts, right? So these are basically 3 different microphones, 3 different cell phones, right, that are being recorded in different locations. And those locations are represented on the map. And so this is what we call the science of where, right? The key is, where is the shot coming from? And that, is kind of important. So we do this acoustic analysis, measuring the initial crack that we hear and the distance to the thumb, and it's different for each one of the phones. It's supposed to be different because they're
in different locations,
right? So if you go to the next slide, I'll show you sort of what I do. So the next slide, I start with the first one we got, which, like you said, came from TikTok. It was like a double TikTok. Well, that reached out to 143 yards, which just so happened to coincide with the knee and elbow prints that we see in the gravel on the building rooftop.
Really? Who saw those?
Yes. The FBI. It's in
Really?
the FBI.
Oh, with those little cards on the roof, right?
With the little, it looks like candy corn or something like that. Right? It looks like candy corn points. That's supposed to be the shooter's nest. Well, that is right there. It's like right where the red thing goes. So I was like, well, wait a second. The crack thump puts it right there, right? Maybe it's a pimply faced kid again, and it's a Dylan Klebold. I'm Mr. Naive, right? And the little 3D kill box is on my shoulder. Like now it lives there, right? So now it lives there. But I'm like, come on. I got the crack thump puts the kid on the roof, end the story. We're done. Let's get out of here, right?
You got stuff to do.
Oh man. These guys, they're so good, and yet there's a saying in magic. Never do the same trick twice.
Right.
And they did the same trick twice, my friend. They did the same trick twice. And I'm going to show you in the audience, when we get to the Patreon-only portion of the show, I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. The same trick twice, okay? So just let's put a pin in that, tie some yarn to that. We're coming back to that. All right, let's go back to the diagram. I measure out Bartholomew's video. Crack thump. 78 yards. 78 yards. It's not even close to the other guy. What the hell? All right.
That's half.
I put my little doodads out there. Okay. I put my little pins out there. All right. And I go to the next slide. So we go to the next slide. And I'm figuring all this out. And what I do, if you go to the one more slide. One more. There you go. All right, so you got a yellow line. No, that's it. Yellow and a red. All right, so you see how you got a yellow circle and a red circle. That is the difference between 2,900 feet per second at the muzzle and 2,600 feet per second at the muzzle. All right, so for all you guys out there that shoot, I'm trying to give us a reasonable range for like a 7.62 round, right? So what we would take out of an AK-47 mag, a 308 type round, a 7mm round, a 284 type round. You know why they told you it was 30-06?
That puts it where they want it to be.
So they could show you a Mauser 98. Remember, it's like the bird flu thing. Why would they tell you it came from a bat in a cave in China?
Because that's exactly what it did not do.
Right, because we don't associate bats with the food supply. We don't eat bats. And if it didn't come from a bat, it came from a pangolin. Right, it came from a pangolin. We don't eat pangolins either.
So I have the pangolin, actually.
Dude, they're so good at this shit. It's like this is a level of like twisted thinking. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's like you have to see the genius in what these guys are coming up with here, all right? What I'm suggesting is any 30 cal round at the muzzle is coming out about 2,650, 2,750, 2,900. A lot of guys are going to say, oh, yeah, mine is 3,100. Okay. The net of it is the difference between 2,600 and 2,900 is the red circle and the yellow circle.
Okay. So it gives you a zone to be looking at.
Correct. All right. So one is, the faster one and the other's the slower one. But it's somewhere in there. All right. So when you do a crack thump from Bartholomew's recording, what that's telling you is the shot wasn't taken from where they told you it was taken from.
Right.
According to Bartholomew's recording, the shot was taken somewhere along the yellow line, the red line, or somewhere in between.
Now, wait a minute. Isn't this the window that Zeb is talking about?
Yes, but hang on. Yes. Yes. All right, but see how we have two other dots down closer to Charlie, right? We got the yellow and red dot. Well, that one goes all the way back to the sniper's nest. But what is that green and yellow dot? What is that?
That's Frank, isn't it?
That's the one looking at Frank. And so I take that audio, and that's the audio on the side looking at Charlie's right ear. All right, so we're looking at Charlie's right side. We see Frank on the video, and I put
Turek.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, correct, Frank Turek. And I put that into Audacity, and I measure that and the crack thumps. There you go. All right, so now it's getting crazy. Let's go to the next slide. This is the punchline. So when I do the crack thump from the camera next to Frank, that gives me 75 yards. Bartholomew was 78. The way this works, guys, is where the two circles intersect is where the shot was fired from. Nobody has seen this before. This is breaking right now. Where the two circles intersect, give or take, rough and tough, is where the shot is coming from. This is science. Here. Right. Now, if you go back in my deck to slide number 3, what did we see where those two circles intersect? Let's go to slide number 3. What did we see where those two circles intersect on slide number 3?
Oh, yeah.
We saw this. No, number 3, slide number 3.
This thing.
There you go. Yes. That goes from where you see there. Jason, when we get to Patreon Only, is going to walk you through the 4 frames. This object is where the two circles intersect. All right. And this object, so listen, check this out. So where do you hear this? One of our patrons, so be nice, one of our patrons wrote in and said that drone that you just showed everybody on slide number 3. So somebody writes me, says, that drone that Jason found in Utah looks a hell of a lot like the drone that Jason found in Butler. And I'm like, huh? What? Oh my God. All right. You guys starting to see the gravity of the situation here?
But the thing is, this is way after Charlie is shot that Bartholomew photographs it here. It's loitering around waiting.
They're going so fast, nobody even knows they're there. So no, they're not loitering. They're going, right? You said it was gone in 4 frames, right?
But this is like 30 seconds after the shooting.
Are we assuming they weren't there for the prior 3 hours? I mean, I think, well, we see them in the zone.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. You're right. That's taken. Right there.
Who else is taking the shot from there? Okay, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying
it's interesting.
That was there. And let's go back to the circles and where the circles intersect. And then so you've got the two circles intersect. So this is based on acoustic analysis. Nobody's showing this. Nobody's sharing this. And now look at the green line. The green line is what I've been proposing all along, is that he was shot from the front in the throat.
I see. So you're saying anywhere within the intersection of these circles is where the shot came from. So
this is give or take stuff,
close,
right? I mean, we're measuring off of iPhones. I mean,
but it's certainly not 140 yards. It's right in there.
Right. If there's only one shot. And I think there might be 2. I did a private Zoom call with one of these legendary COVID researchers over in Europe. And he gets on it. He's like, I don't want to get into this stuff. I don't want to get killed.
Why not?
But he said to me, go back to your Bartholomew footage. He says, open it up on Audacity. Watch the people flinch. The guy who's interviewing, the kid on the left with the darker hair, flinches. And he said, pull that up on Audacity. And he said, you tell me if you don't see 2 events separated by 7 1/100th of a second. And lo and behold, son of a gun is right.
Now, let's say one more thing, though, about that Bartholomew footage, because this is also important, and it goes to that plane. That plane is an ISR, wait,
you're jumping ahead.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
the drones, ISR is intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. Adam Bartholomew's live stream was cut, and I've been positing a theory that a Bluetooth low energy attack directed at his iOS devices could have easily done that, and it happens 1 second before the shots are fired. Now, it could be a coincidence, but certainly if somebody didn't want a recording of it, that would be something to do, electronic warfare, to shut down recording devices.
Or any live streaming. Anybody live streaming in this zone just got
zitzed. Yeah.
We saw it. I mean, you showed it to us. You said, like, we saw it. It's like, what the hell was that? Well, dude, yes. All right, so this gets goosebumpy. This is what I mean. You guys have to leave behind everything you thought a day or two ago, because this is so much. This is like Butler. All right, this is crazy.
Now we only got about 2 or 3 more minutes, John, before we want to.
All right, let's get to the plane stuff. All right, so let's jump ahead. Skip the kids with the backpack crap, and let's jump to, in my slide deck is the picture of the plane. All right. So I stumble across this. Somebody shares this with me and says, you got to check this out. I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? And it turns out, as Jason said, this is an Army Hades aircraft. It's a Bombardier G6500 that has its ADS-B transponder on. So it's telling us where it is and how fast it's going and what its altitude is. And the morning of the shooting at Charlie Kirk, this Bombardier jet for the Army's Hades program, a spy jet basically, comes down to 600 feet above the lake, slows down to 120 knots, does a loop-de-loop. Not a loop-de-loop, but does a circle.
Orbital
right? And then goes back up to cruising altitude.
So just so people understand, this is the altitude chart where it's going down, and then this is the trajectory here where it's circling around the lake.
And we're going to do this live when we get to the patron-only portion of the show. Jason is going to walk you through this and the whole flight path. And it does it twice. In other words, it does it 3 hours before the shooting, dips down, flies around here, and goes back up. And then 20 minutes after the shooting, it comes down to 335 feet above Lake Utah there. That's not Salt Lake. That's called that's Utah Lake. And slows down to like 118 knots. Dude, this is almost stall
speed. Yeah.
Very close to stall speed. 300 feet over the water?
Seems dangerous.
Came all the way down? What the hell? You guys forget something? And they did it adjacent to UVU, where we see the 5 UAVs that you found. And so when I shared this with the ODNI people, they think this is the same group of people that were behind Butler. That is their working theory right now.
I think so too. I just smell it on this.
And quite frankly, Jason, you're the one that's documented the UAVs in both locations. So get ready to get some pretty spooky phone calls. They want to know what you found, like legitimately, like what the hell are we looking at here? You've got the goods, man. You've got the evidence in both locations. And right now, kind of the working straw man theory is there is a rogue group similar to what we saw at the FBI. Remember the Peter Strzok, Lisa Page nonsense? And all
exactly.
Rosenstein. Imagine there's a group like that over at Langley, with poison darts and all kinds of crazy stuff that half of it they get to do with DARPA.
ISR jets. They can do whatever they want.
Imagine that.
But listen, John, we're butting up against the end of our segment here, so people are going to be able to join us for the sponsor-exclusive portion of the show. There's a lot more to talk about. It's going to be probably even longer than this. So join us over there on subscribestar.com or patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, or on the Crowdsource the Truth channels. You can join on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, subscribestar.com, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And after the show, the sponsor exclusive content will be available to people who subscribe to me on X. Follow me on X and subscribe. You'll get access to the sponsor exclusive content. Drop a DM to Elon Musk and ask him to enable sponsor exclusive live streaming. Then I won't have to post it after the fact. But thanks to everybody who's following me at JG_CSTT. This has been a very special episode of John Cullen Investigates. Stay with us. We're going to continue in just about 15 minutes. We'll be back at 9:30 for this sponsor